And they're freaking out over something they don't control there. They don't control Infowars.com. They don't control Prisonplanet.com. And they don't fully control News Corp. And I told you, remember last year those memos came out from Media Matters, George Soros funded? White House gives them, meetings every week saying we're going to infiltrate and destroy alternative media. And Fox was at the top. But guess who else is in there? Guess who else they attack? Me. Because I'm pro-gun, pro-family, anti-abortion, anti-globalist. I mean, we now have the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation responding to us. You think that makes me happy? Well, in a way it does, that we're having an effect, but it also is super creepy. We're in danger, folks. This is a real fight. And if they can take over News Corp, you better believe Infowars.com and the Drudge Report, DrudgeReport.com, and Limbaugh and Michael Savage and everything else. And then they're going to shut down all the leftist things they don't control. They don't want anything that's not under globalist control. It's happening. And look, even if I disagree with somebody's free speech, if they were trying to shut down the Huffington Post, that's AOL, if Republicans were in office and saying, let's shut down the Huffington Post because of their lies or they're unethical or whatever, I would defend the Huffington Post and even AOL. Look, last year, Homeland Security, and I'm barred from giving everything out because I'm told things in confidence, but then I'm like, oh, and I'm not allowed to tell people what happened. I mean, I could tell what Ventura's told on air and what Michael Braverman, a big producer for TV, he's got a couple hit shows right now, I can say what they said. That Homeland Security, members of Congress called and threatened Time Warner to ban that show, and they did. But the other stuff is just incredible. Incredible. And I cannot tell you. So let me explain something, ladies and gentlemen. When I live in the real world, that's why Breitbart drops dead the day he's supposed to release all this powerful stuff. And I said, watch, in 2 or 3 weeks, if they've been compromised or something's happened, if people have been threatened over there, they're going to release some milquetoast thing, and they did. And it did not match what he'd said and how this would destroy Obama. Now, maybe he died of a heart attack. I'm sad he's dead, but I hope he actually died of a heart attack. But you know what? My gut tells me he didn't. And now one of the coroners is dead. Poisoned. So, again, how do you have a Justice Department that's shipping hand grenades and guns into Mexico to demonize our rights? How do you have them going after News Corp? And the answer is they can't. That's like, I'm for the death penalty, but you can't have it because these states and the feds have been caught framing people. See what I'm saying? We'll be right back. Stay with us. You know what I'm going to do? I think I'm going to call Watson up, or maybe get Curtin. I'm going to do an article about the insane hypocrisy of a criminal, executive, judicial, legislative tyranny who exempts itself extrajudicially from law, saying they're going to try to shut down News Corp and talking about arresting Rupert Murdoch and his son and all these people. And I told you that's where all this is headed. And if people cower and give into this, and people say, oh, good, I'd love to see News Corp shut down. I'd love to see people like Rush Limbaugh off the air. Ladies and gentlemen, when you get governmental collusion with attack dog groups trying to shut people down, do you understand if they can shut down any media, they can shut us all down? We hang together or hang separate. Back when I defended Rush Limbaugh, making the point that this woman wants people to pay for thousands of dollars of condoms a year, why doesn't she pay for that herself? And then they made this big deal out of it. I mean, it's a ridiculous spectacle, a woman in Congress asking somebody to buy thousands of dollars of condoms for them. I don't want to pay for that, and I shouldn't have to. I'm sick of paying for everything. And they make this huge hissy fit out of it, and then I did a show about it, and we posted the video of the radio show, and a lot of the commenters on Infowars.com were like, oh, I hate Limbaugh. I hope he dies. I hope he goes and takes some Oxycontin. I hope he loses his show. Don't you understand that they are bringing in SOPA, They're bringing in that system through the new bill, CISPA, that they're openly saying they want to censor everybody. And that if they get away with this, none of us are safe. I don't like a lot of the things Rush Limbaugh does. I don't like him running defense for the Republican establishment. I don't even really listen to Rush Limbaugh. But I recognize that the system wants to set the precedent to shut down what they see as libertarian, conservative, constitutional opposition. And that's how the establishment sees me. I see myself as just somebody who wants freedom. And I judge an issue by issue base and try to get away from labels. But I've still got to communicate with people through the labels they know. So it's kind of a catch-22. You've got to use the labels people know and then define them in a way that you think more explains in a deeper definition or depth what's happening. But it's so common sense for me. It's so common sense that if the government was trying to shut down MSNBC, of course it wouldn't shut itself down, that's a pure government operation, that I would be, wow, this is a dangerous precedent. Even because something like that might be staged where they go along with being shut down just to set the precedent. You see what I'm saying? This is dangerous, 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 dangerous stuff we're talking about here. And so you've got the old dinosaur media who's always still had the instinct to defend free speech because journalists are taught that's what's important, because it is, finally getting the idea that, oh, if they're going to survive, they won't come out and tell the truth on real issues that the people want to hear and give people real investigative reporting. No, they'll just merge with the big corporations and the government who are threatened by real media and call for a new dark age, an electronic Berlin Wall of regulation and fairness doctrine crud, and copyright persecution without due process to shut down the internet as we know it. So make no mistake, the gelding, bare minimum, this is the harassment, the cornering, the political warfare of the Soros / feud with Rupert Murdoch and Roger Ailes. This is a battle going on right now, and they're going to use this to decide the future of the rest of the media. So you better circle the wagons around free speech. I mean, I don't like the stuff the Ku Klux Klan says. As long as they're not calling for killing somebody, they got a right to say it. I don't like what the new Black Panther Party says about whites being the devil and all being racist. And it's when they start saying kill people, go out and kill Whitey, that's when they should be arrested. Of course, they weren't, because it turns out the Justice Department was infiltrated and actually leading the protest and trying to get violence going. No kidding. No, the same folks that ship guns into Mexico to try to create total anarchy down there to then blame the Second Amendment, which they still did. Again, you got to wrap your mind around the fact we've got a real criminal government at the top. And we better, as a country, people across the board, government, out of government, media, you name it, say, hey, you know what? This is out of control. Back off. Stop it right there. The preservation of this republic, common sense, is on the line right now. And people better stand up for liberty and better be thinking about just how much danger we're in. Okay, I'm going to cover a bunch of news. Go to your phone calls when we come back. Stay with us. Are you awake yet out there? Are you aware of just how serious history is and that it's repeating itself right now? All these people are into zombie movies and stuff like that. Not me. I've studied history, and I know what real carnage and real death is, just from afar. And I don't want to see it visited upon us. Now, we're going to take some calls coming up here in a few minutes on any of the issues I've mentioned or anything you want to raise. But then we're going to clear the phones out in the second hour so we can talk to Steve Pieczenik, Dr. Pieczenik, who's been at the forefront of forecasting and then breaking down the bin Laden killing hoax we just celebrated on International Communist Day yesterday. Our great dear leader, Osama bin Bernaki's minion, Obama. So that is coming up. Here is some of the news at Infowars.com. The toll-free number to join us, of course, is 800-259-9231, 800-259-9231. Tennessee man arrested and imprisoned for using cash. Another headline, treasure hunter fears assassination over search for bin Laden's body. Do you fear assassination for the search for, say, Keebler elves? Obama Homeland Security official scolded for socialist tweet. From Communism Day to Government Loyalty Day, Obama says we must swear our loyalty to him. Tech giant warns CISPA is alarming threat to privacy. So we're finally seeing some of the tech giants come out against it as they are starting to understand that there's a public is waking up to it. The denial of Cass Sunstein, just admit what you have written. He's now denying or saying he doesn't remember writing all these public papers calling for restricting and free speech and fining or basically, he says, make it illegal to criticize the government and to say the government's lying. Amazing. So we're going to be breaking that down. Also, Hugo Chavez and officials caught in huge drug money laundering scandal. Our own Max Cabrera is from, one of our great IT guys, is from Venezuela. And he tells the horror stories of living under Chavez. And so he wanted to do this report. And I see these idiots and they're going, you must work for the system because you don't like Chavez. Just because our system's corrupt doesn't then mean something else is good. See, it's this idea of Iran's good and we're bad, or we're good and Iran's bad. No, there's bad, corrupt people in charge everywhere. That's history. That's the problem. That's why liberty is that rare jewel that Thomas Jefferson talked about. Speaking of the cash issue, let me just cover this now. Tennessee man arrested and imprisoned for using cash. It was an older $50 bill. They arrested him and kept him in jail. And then finally, the evidence area said, I think this is real money. And they released him, but said, you better go cash this in at the bank for something new. So he's bad. And I see articles routinely where people just show, well, I had a friend, Chris Athanas. I haven't talked to him in years. I think he still lives in Austin. Software engineer, well-to-do middle-class guy, patriot. Knew him down at Access TV. And he went to prison for years. He was down on the edge of UT, and he was talking about silver. This is like 6, 7 years ago. And he showed it to some people, and they called the police on him, thinking it was illegal to have a silver coin. And then it turned out he wasn't even on the UT campus, but they came off the campus saying, well, there's a buffer, and he had his concealed carry. And so they came, they got him for the silver, tried to charge him for that, and ended up trumping up stuff for being near a college campus with a firearm. No criminal record, software engineer, part of the community, developing all sorts of, software that's well-known out there. And that's the American dream now. But I see these cases where, one case I remember was a few years ago, a guy goes into Best Buy. And he had, I think he was buying film or a memory stick or something. You can pull up the article. Guys, type man arrested for using $2 bill at Best Buy. And then we can pull up the original info. It's like 5, 6 years ago, so I forget the details. But all I remember about it is that he had done something with Cub Scouts where he was teaching about the Declaration of